WCB Podcast, your source for all things Chicago Blackhawks and everything hockey. With your host, Jarom and Tanner. Let's do it. Jarom and Tanner.
All right, it's another edition of the WCB Podcast, a part of the Hockey Podcast Network, presented by DraftKings. It's Tanner. It's Jarom. What's up, Tanner?
I mean, it's a good week, right?
It's a good week.
It's a very good week.
You know why? The only thing you know, Connor Bedard's a Blackhawk in one day. All right, so thanks for tuning in. That's the entire show. Connor Bedard is a Blackhawk. Follow us on social media. No, I'm joking. No, I mean, we are officially into silly season. The draft, depending on when I post this, is either tomorrow or in 2 days. Wheeling dealing is starting. There's rumblings across the league. Danny Briere in Philly is just going full blown, blow the team up, and he's just hitting a whole bunch of snags in the process. Trotz isn't even in charge of the Nashville Predators yet, and he's already making his presence known. Kyle Davidson with a huge bomb today.
Little Davidson bomb.
Worked some voodoo magic with the Boston Bruins making a trade to help them on their cap situation. And like we said, Connor Bedard is going to be a Chicago Blackhawk. And might already be a Chicago Blackhawk, depending on when you decide to listen to this.
Yeah.
Life is good. Life is
pretty
good. And we didn't even mention
technically pick up two first overall picks this week.
It is true. And then we didn't even mention free agency starts on Saturday.
Man, what a time to be alive as a Blackhawks fan.
Hockey, and just a hockey fan in general. It's a weaker free agency class, but still, I think you're going to see a lot more trades this year because of that. I think teams are going to try to build and try to move space, and they're just teams are going to be in survival mode, I think, this season, where all they're trying to do is get to next year where the cap is going to go up, supposedly.
Like what, $4.5 million or something?
Upwards of $4.5 million.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of teams are just going to try to make do and set themselves up so they can be big spenders next year.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, you don't go too overboard on the free agency class this year. It's not that great. I mean, Patrick Kane looking good.
Yeah, Kaner is already doing rehab less than what was it, like 6 weeks?
3 weeks.
Was it 3 weeks?
I thought it was 3. 6 weeks might be right. I don't know.
Already taking clap bombs and skating on a treadmill.
Can you imagine? I know Davidson said already that Kaner's probably not coming back, but we got Taylor Hall, we got Connor Bedard, finish out the first overall line and bring Kaner back.
You know what else would be kind of nice? A nice little 3C. Maybe just go back on your word and bring back Taser too. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's not happening, but it'd be great. What was it? Has a team ever had a line of 3 first overall picks?
That's a good question.
Edmonton could have.
I mean, Edmonton would be the closest one to it.
Yeah, with Nuge, Hall, and Yakupov.
Technically McDavid too, right?
Yakupov was probably gone by that point, but maybe.
I mean,
Hall, McDavid, and Nuge.
Maybe.
I don't know. Edmonton's the only one that I can think of that has that possibility.
Yeah, they're the only ones with a horseshoe up their ass when it came to the draft lottery for all those years.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Well, it was because they had Taylor Hall, remember?
Taylor Hall, first overall magnet. And So does that mean Hawks guaranteed first overall pick next year too?
See, here's the thing. We're just going right into it. So this is
we'll go right into it.
I think that Davidson needs to flip Taylor Hall for another first round pick.
In this draft, for this draft.
Yes. I think that it is such a good way to gain another first round pick. Is he gave up basically nothing to acquire a pretty good player that could just be flipped to some team for another first round pick and then stack the fucking picks.
I disagree to an extent. I think if it's a pick that's worthwhile, like there's a name there that's like, holy shit, he's still available, and this team's calling asking, okay, maybe. But I think Hall is a good guy to have on this team to kind of help Bedard a little bit. Not like a full-blown mentor, but he needs somebody to play with. You can't go and just put Bedard, okay, here you go, this is your team, save us, and throw him out there and have no support for him or anybody that can, back him up. I think having him, Reichel, and Bedard on the line together would be sick.
Mm-hmm.
I think you hold him to at least the trade deadline this year. I think he gets held on till the trade deadline next year, to be honest with you.
Well, if we're holding on to him for like this season, got to guarantee that first overall pick. So it's got to be until the end of the year, at least.
Yeah. But I get what you're saying though too. Like I see both sides of it.
Yeah.
I think just the pure fact that we need to get to the cap floor, and this is a player that can play still. When he's healthy, he's a good player.
But that's the thing. Like he can still play, and the Hawks weren't looking to, as far as I knew, like we weren't looking to like gain momentum in that direction yet, which is why I'm thinking like this was basically a free first round pick coming our way now, because like we didn't have any players of that caliber that had the possibility of being traded this draft for a first round pick like we did last year with DeBrincat and Doc. Right. And then now he just acquires Taylor Hall for dumping off Mitchell and Regula. And I mean, signing rights to Nick Foligno, but like, I don't know how much that's going to actually really matter. And it's just kind of like Boston was saying, here, use this guy to get a first rounder. And I'm like, that's fantastic. I understand like wanting to like make it like not Bedard is like the only guy that can do anything on the team. Like it would be good to have that. But if you want to stack the team with young talent with all the picks to like utilize these first round picks as like guys that you want to build the team around, I think that you could use Taylor Hall as a guy that gets you another first round pick.
That's fair. How many guys though do you want them to build around? You know what I'm saying? Like like what number of like core guys do you think?
Well, it's kind of, let me think. These next couple of years is I don't think you're acquiring guys that are going to be going towards the future, which is why it wouldn't make sense to me to keep Taylor Hall. Like once you kind of use this draft, the previous draft, the next draft, and maybe the one after that, that's when you're like, all right, these are like, we're going to hit some home runs here at some point. Like obviously like Bedard will probably be a home run. And that's just kind of like, that's when you start acquiring free agents and guys that like are going to help the team. Like the Taylor Hall thing doesn't make sense in my mind. And like, it doesn't make sense for Taylor Hall to be like, oh, I went from playing on the best team in the league. I still haven't won a cup. I got a Hart. And now I'm going to be on like one of the worst teams in the league. Right? Like wouldn't you want to be like on a contender?
Do you think this is a lesson to every player in the league that's got a modified no trade clause list to update it regularly? Because Hall didn't have the Hawks on his no trade list. That's the reason why this was able to go through.
Well, I'm sure he's not like super upset about it, just because like if he does play on the Hawks, he gets to play with Connor Bedard. And that's just going to up his value if he's on that line and he like has another season like he did in Jersey where he puts up like 92 something points like that.
So here, I'm kind of glad you said that, like not upset to play with Bedard. Like, so that's the other thing too, like looking at social media, like I know I got to stop, but it's like, I kind of like, I mean, you got to gauge what people's opinions and all that kind of stuff. But the amount of people sitting there saying like, I'm so sorry for Taylor Hall, or like, why would anybody want to go there? Why would Bedard agree to sign with them? Why doesn't he just pull Lindros? Despite what your opinion of the Chicago Blackhawks are, they are an original 6 team. Mm-hmm. They are in a major market. They have the history that they like have. They have Connor Bedard. who is going to be a generational talent, who is going to be top dog in this league for a long time. Why would you not want to come to Chicago and potentially play with that? Yeah, it's going to be shitty for the first couple seasons while they try to establish Bedard and establish their future core. But players are going to come to Chicago. Yeah. On top of that, too, you got Luke Richardson, who has already gotten flying reviews about how great of a coach he is and how people want to play for him. Freaking Domi, before a guy even coached him as a head coach, is like, get me to Chicago so I can play with him, play for him.
Because he played in Montreal with him.
Like, I'm sick of this narrative. Like, oh, Chicago is a poverty franchise. Chicago sucks. Why would anybody want to go to Chicago? Chicago is always going to be a market that players want to go to.
Yeah.
And that's never going to, and it's not going to change. And the fact that Bedard is going to be here now is going to blow. I honestly think the rebuild is going to go quicker than we think. For the simple fact, not like a force, like, okay, we're going to do Stan Bowman this, and we're going to go get Marc-Andre Fleury, and we're going to go do this, we're going to do that. I think it's going to be one of those things where Bedard's going to come in, he's going to have a great rookie year. I think then they're going to reevaluate Nazar and Korchinski next season, like this offseason, or next offseason, see where they're at.
But yeah, I mean, even at the end of the collegiate season this year, that might be Nazar coming in.
Right. If they're ready to make a jump, and next year they prove like they are NHL ready, and they're putting up numbers, and they're able to hold their own out there. Year 3, you might be looking at starting to add key pieces.
Yeah.
Like this, I don't think this is a 5-year rebuild like some people originally were talking about. I think this is going to get in
Cup and 6, just like Vegas.
Yeah, this is going to be optimistic. This is very optimistic, like talking and all that, and everything has to go perfect. The stars have to align. Everything needs to be perfect, but it's like, I have a really good feeling just by Kyle Davidson sticking to his guns so far. And I know it's very early. The offseason really hasn't even technically started yet, but he's doing a good job. He's not sacrificing the future to bring in pieces. Like you said, he got Taylor Hall for nothing.
Yeah.
2 players that weren't even in the plans.
I mean, it's funny too, because the Taylor Hall for nothing is one. He still has plenty of space to do this with another team. Another team could it possibly be moving like a Taylor Hall like player. Let's see, towards the top of the cap right now, like Jesus Christ.
Yamamoto.
Like, oh fuck, man. I saw Tampa is looking to possibly move on from Ross Colton.
Oh yeah.
And they're asking for a second, and I'm like, yo, we have seconds. Like, I love his game. Like, bring him in.
Don't we got one of their seconds? Can't we just give it back to him?
Yeah, just give it back. No, I don't think we have their second. We might though. I don't know. We have so many of their picks. Yeah, we have their second. That's right. For the Tyler Johnson trade. You can give them their second next year or something like that. But yeah, getting like Ross Colton in, like that would be sick. I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, obviously Vancouver. That was something that was mentioned a while ago too, where they needed to shed cap. I don't know if they still do. I'm sure they would like to after the OEL buyout.
They're still looking. I was reading. They're still looking to push Granlund, trying to find somebody to take him.
Yeah. Oh wait, Garland.
Sorry.
Yeah. That wouldn't be bad. Like getting Garland on the team for basically next to nothing, and maybe getting a pick in return too. Even a team like Edmonton, like I know that they were looking to move on from a guy like Kyler Yamamoto.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Why not like take a chance on like you could easily get Kyler Yamamoto for free.
24-year-old, 3.1 mil for one more year. Then he's RFA for next year.
Yeah. Like Vegas. I'm sure Vegas probably wants to make some cap space. I mean, Barbashev was a guy that
apparently they got a deal for Aiden Hill.
Yeah. Did they?
Apparently, I don't know if it's official, but they're saying they're 2 years.
I thought it was like he was asking for 2 years.
Oh, was it him asking? Okay, I didn't know if it was what they were talking. Okay, never mind.
I think Barbashev was like I seen like articles about like the Hawks wanting to go after Barbashev in free agency, which I think that'd be great. But again, like, are the Hawks looking to build? I don't think so. I think they need guys like the Domi and Athanasio contracts that they signed last year.
Yeah. I think you're still looking at guys, anybody that's got 1 to 2 years left on their deal.
Yeah. For teams that need cap relief,
yeah.
man. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, they're still poised to fucking pull plenty of other guys. And I mean, with even like what I was saying with the Kyle Yamamoto thing, it's because like he's not really accelerated his game, but like why not take a chance on a guy that's got 1 year left, and like if he fucking hits, great, you can trade him for like a little more value than what you even, I mean, you didn't even probably give anything up for him. And if he doesn't like fucking hit, guess what? Like, who cares? Like, you have so much cap space, like you can just get rid of it. You can get rid of him. Like, it doesn't matter.
Dude, that's a Stan Bowman trade. Like a first round pick who hasn't reached expectations yet. Oh my God. Stan Bowman's exactly. Like, get me back in this league so I can trade for him.
Yeah, except for he's giving up like somebody else.
Yeah.
Like that's younger and probably
Frank Nazar. Frank Nazar is going to Edmonton.
It would be like Lucas Reichel.
Yeah, it would be so stupid. But yeah, it's like we don't know, like, how not knowing the full plan, like KD's full plan. It's a head scratcher for like when stuff like this happens. But at the end of the day, like we talked about a couple weeks ago, this is going to be the type of year where it's like, this is a trivia question in 10 years.
Yeah.
Which of these players play for the Blackhawks?
Yeah.
Like, and that's what this team's going to be filled with this year, I feel like.
Yeah, that's still going to be the situation, especially when I completely forgot Taylor Hall already played for Arizona.
Mm-hmm. I forgot the Buffalo stint.
He's played for Buffalo, Arizona, and the Hawks, and like, like that's gonna be hilarious.
And I famously said it on this podcast. He is, and I stand by it, about him being the most, I think, overrated player when people are talking about trade hype.
Yeah.
Like when they're like, oh my God, he's going to get this. He was one good season. He had one good season in his career. I guess one really good season. He's had decent seasons, but he's only had one really good season to deserve any hype that he gets. If we got a first, I'd be ecstatic for him. I would be so pumped. But then again, I didn't think we were going to get a first for Kirby last year.
Yeah, right. So that's the other thing too, is like Kirby at least had, like, he was still super young. Taylor Hall, man, we'll see what happens. He's 31.
He's got 2 years left at $6 million per. He's coming off of 61 games last season with 16 goals, 20 assists for 36 points. He had a pretty good first round, if I remember correctly.
8 points in 7 games.
Yeah,
5 goals. The other thing too, man, he's like one of the fastest guys in the league. So even if it's not Reichel on the wing and it's Athanasio with Hall and Bedard, that's fast. Like, Bedard's not going to be like one of the fastest guys in the league. I don't think he's known for his speed. It's more of his shot and his IQ. But
yeah,
having 2 guys that are just going to fucking fly, and him just nailing them with passes, and them just dragging the defense down into the corners while they just toss it back up top to Bedard where you just rip. It's going to be sick.
It's going to like, it's not going to be winning hockey by any means. Like, we're not going to go and all of a sudden be a playoff team, but it's going to be like last year. I think it's going to be fun to watch. I think this team's going to be in games, and I think that it's going to be so much more fun to watch because of Bedard. It's like, imagine last year where we were all surprisingly satisfied with the season and add a Bedard to that. All right, let's go. Let's go.
Man, I'm just fucking looking at like Kyle Davidson's trades, like, since he's come into the league, and I don't think he's really lost a single trade. There's been some where it's like the value wasn't like super great, but like has turned out to be good in the end. And then there's just like some that are like, whatever. Those are like swaps, like minor league swap trades. And then there's ones where he just absolutely just acquires just unbelievable amounts. Like it's good. Boston gets the cap space. That's cool. But like, we just got like Taylor Hall for fucking nothing.
I mean, he got us out of cap hell.
Yeah.
He got us out of cap hell. He got us picks back that we lost because of Bowman. We have flexibility moving forward. We are going to
have tons of fucking picks.
Yeah.
Tons of picks.
It's 11 this year, 9 in the first 100 picks.
Yeah.
Like, this is fucking insane.
It's going to be crazy. And he's still not done. The draft hasn't happened. I'm sure there's going to be more trades.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get to that when we talk about the draft, but it's like, how can you not look at what he's doing in the spot that the Hawks are in right now as a Hawk fan and not just be excited and just licking your chops to see what's next and what's coming and all that. Like, this is weird. Like, it's so crazy to see, like, after the season we just had and the season we're gonna have, to be excited for Blackhawk hockey.
Oh yeah.
It's like the dark days are back with what the record's gonna show, but it's not the dark days. It is fucking fantastic, and it's going to be amazing.
It's just so fucking jazzed.
I guess we could talk about the full actual trade. We didn't really say.
Oh yeah.
Taylor Hall and signing rights to Nick Foligno for signing rights, RFA rights for Ian Mitchell and Alex Regula.
Alec.
Is it Alec?
It's Alec.
I've always said Alex. Alec Regula.
I know. I saw it on the Instagram post.
Oh, did I do that?
Yeah, I was like, whatever.
Oops, I'll fix that now. I'm talking. But yeah, I mean, I'm bummed out about Mitchell. I really liked him. I wish he would have panned out, but it just didn't seem like he was going to be the guy or a guy in the new direction this organization was going.
I think I like it for the fact that, like, I did like Regula, I did like Mitchell, but we do have a good handful of defensemen. Even though the weird thing to me though is, like, a lot of our prospect defensemen are left defensemen, and he got rid of 2 right defensemen.
Yeah,
but it's okay because whatever.
I mean,
I still the value that we get in return for that trade is just massive, and obviously, like I said, if he could acquire a first for Hall instead, you can just get a pretty good high pick, like, right defenseman if you wanted to, and it would be basically just turning 2 like okay possible NHLer like right defenseman into like almost could be a bona fide fucking like defenseman in the NHL. It's not a bad swap, but we'll see. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I don't think that, or I think that not hearing anything about like any other things with Hall really makes me feel like he's probably not going to move him. But I wouldn't be surprised because I think that would be fantastic.
I think everything is on the table right now. I honestly don't like. I can totally see him staying and playing. I can totally see him getting moved. I personally think right now holding on to him would be all right, unless you get one of those first round picks, like I said earlier, like that. It's like, oh shit, okay, yeah, the classic NHL. I'm gonna accept this before you come to your senses, like type of thing, trade type of. Yeah, I don't know. I feel really good about this, and I think a key thing too that you don't really see people talking about with this trade is by moving Mitchell and Regula, that log jam at D, is coming unclogged.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's still a lot of left defensemen. Like, those were like 2 of like the only right defensemen that we had.
No, I know. I'm just saying though, like, now you can let Vlasic, was it Phillips, Ruse, these guys can get more playing. Kaiser, I think too is another one that's going to be factored in a lot this year. You have those 2 spots that are technically still open. And now these guys, it's a smaller group of defensemen now fighting to use those two spots. So I think that's really you're going to start seeing these guys, who's part of the future, who's not.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is nice about it. I don't know if this week should wait for, no, we'll talk about this now because it involves the trade. Trading those two defensive guys, does that change, you think, your strategy going into the draft? Because I know a lot of people were talking about like Hawks are going to focus on offense in the draft. Do you think they take a shot at some defensemen, or
feel like,
or is it just
possibly,
best man
actually
up?
Yeah, if it's, I mean, I'm sure they're going to have their eyes on certain guys already, but if, let's say, somebody drops a bit and he's clearly a better player, even if he's playing defense, like, you might have to just pull the trigger on a guy like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's basically what's going to happen with Mitchkov, right? Like, everybody thinks he's going to drop just because of like the whole Russian thing. At some point, somebody's going to just be like, he's here, and we were planning on taking somebody else, but best player, man, he's going to be a game changer.
Washington is trying to move up.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They're trying.
I just love everybody wants to move up, and man, if the Hawks weren't 1, if they were 3 or 4, can you imagine like what they could possibly be like picking up from teams if they
were
if the
Hawks weren't top 2? Yeah, if the Hawks weren't top 2, I'd be like, trade that pick and take the haul.
Yeah, like you can move back to 6 and get like whatever, like even first rounder next year or something like that. Like, yeah, fucking do it. Like, you can get Ryan Leonard. Like, that's fine. Like, he's gonna be sick. Dude, this draft's gonna be so exciting. I hope that the Hawks can acquire another first rounder, and if not, I hope that I just am so jazzed to see who the fuck they get after Bedard.
We'll talk about that in a second here.
Man.
Foligno is a part of that trade too. You have to assume there's been some communications about him signing with the Hawks, because it seemed like weird.
No. I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't know. Like, it doesn't make sense, the signing rights to Nick Foligno, because it's not like he's an RFA.
Right.
So
he's going to be.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. So he was going to be a free agent regardless on Saturday. So that's why I'm like, did they have a conversation with him? So they're like, all right, here he'll sign with you guys. We'll toss him in there so you guys get first crack before he hits the market. Like, I don't know. That was a weird.
Yeah. It's the same. Well, it's the same with like the Galchenyuk and Ryan Johansson trade. Like, they are not signing Galchenyuk. So like, why was that thrown in? Like, did they just? I don't know.
Is the league kind of cracking down on future consideration?
Yeah, I don't know. Is that the deal? Because even in that doesn't matter, right? Because like, if it was just Regula and Mitchell for Hall.
Yeah,
that's basically what it is anyway. Like, I don't understand why throwing Nick Foligno's name in there like matters, because it's not like the Hawks are going to sign him to an 8-year deal, because like that's the only reason I can see that happening, right? Like,
or is it a sign and trade to do that? That's
I thought that was after like free agency opens.
I have no idea.
Oh, actually, I don't know. I have no clue. I don't know, man. It's just I don't understand it. Plus, like, why do the Hawks need like Nick Foligno? Unless it's one of those deals where it's like, hey, man, you sign here for a year, we'll move you at the deadline to a contender. Like,
well, that's so basically what I'm bringing that up is like, what do you think a contract with him would look like?
Get us to the cap floor. So probably like 1 year, like $3 million, 2.5 million. What was he just making?
Oh shit, I just had that.
I got him right here. He's 35. What was his last contract? No. 3.8 is what he was on.
2.5, 3, maybe.
Yeah, just because we need to beat the cap floor, but also a deal that benefits him being able to be moved at the deadline to a contender.
What's up, guys? As you know, the show is brought to you by DraftKings, and new customers, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. Bet just $5 to score $150 in bonus bets instantly. That's code THPN only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050 or visit gamblinghelpline.org. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467369. In Kansas, call 1-800-247-00. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino Resort, on West Virginia, gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. All games regulated by West Virginia Lottery. Please play responsibly in partnership with Hollywood Casino at Charlestown's Race in Connecticut. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. 21 plus in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after insurance. One boost per eligible game. Opt-in require max bet $50. 10 plus leg required for 100% boost. Eligibility, wagering deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/baseball terms. Yeah, I mean,
3.2, and then 50% retained at the deadline. Getting traded at 1.6.
Oh man, and the whole cap floor thing. I don't know how many people like are talking about it. Like I did a quick thing on Hockey Buzz for this trade, and I'm saying this is a good move. I mean, it only puts the Hawks to less than 10 million to get to the cap floor and all this kind of stuff. Blah blah blah. Well, actually, it's a lot less money to get to the cap floor because you got to sign Bedard, you got to sign this guy, and I'm like, no, I understand that. I'm saying that we are so much closer now. It's not going to be as hard as people thought originally. Yeah. Like that's why I'm like, I don't understand how that's such a hard concept.
There's contracts that are going to be dealt out, but like you're not going to have to go into free agency and look for a $6 million guy anymore.
I mean, you can still go and give Phil Kessel 1 year, $5 million. I don't care. I mean, let's go.
Get Phil and Taylor Hall back together. Arizona, baby.
Oh, I was kind of thinking, where do they play with each other? I already forgot. We mentioned Arizona earlier, and I already forgot about it.
Exactly. No one remembers who played for Arizona.
But going into free agency, I guess we'll talk about that real quick before we get into draft talk, because I think draft talk will just wrap up the show. There's been a couple rumors that Compher, is that how you say it?
JT Compher, yeah.
But apparently has interest with the Hawks, and the Hawks have interest in him, which I don't know how
hometown kid.
How is that known if they can't talk to him until July 1st? I mean, the tampering
sometimes teams allow players to go chat
and talk. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like obviously if Colorado isn't going to be offering him a deal, his agent can be like, "Hey, like can we go talk to teams?" And just be like, "Yeah, that's cool."
Yeah. Apparently, yeah, so there's some interest there. How do you feel about him coming into Chicago?
Fine. I mean, he'll be a good middle of the lineup kind of guy, I think. He's decent. That's the thing. Like, I don't think he doesn't blow the doors off, like that's good, but he's a solid player. He had 52 points this past season. And I think that team was riddled with injuries, so I'm sure he was up and down the lineup.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he's an all right player. He only had 2 points in the playoffs. Doesn't seem like, I mean, I don't think the Hawks are making the playoffs, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, if he's like second line, third line, he'll be able to fit in either one of those and probably just a good competitor.
Would you rather have him or Domi?
Just get a both. Who cares? We have the space. Like, why not?
And then how about term? Would you want any of those guys you would give term, or are you sticking with the 1 to 3 year? Or you even go 1 to 2?
1 to 2. Get him just a match like Taylor Hall.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah, that's fair.
Nobody gets 3 years.
No.
Besides Bedard.
Yeah. Just got to get to Bedard's first contract extension. Let him get paid. Let him get locked down. And then you can start giving out big boy contracts and making big boy moves. Because once we get that contract signed for 8 years and a lot less money than he deserves.
Yeah, right. He's going to, I mean, that's the other thing, that he'll probably be able to make a good amount of money with all the sponsorships and stuff too.
Let's see. Everybody talks about how humble of a kid he is and all that. Be like, hey, you want to be one of the greats? Look at Crosby. He only made $8.7 million for like his entire career.
Yeah, right.
You want to chill there? Like
9.8.
Look at McKinnon's first contract after his entry level.
Yeah, that's because he didn't play up to the level that he was supposed to.
But
God, damn, that's gonna be sick. Can't wait.
Other roster news. Also rumblings. I don't know if anything's official, but rumblings that Caleb Jones is not going to get qualified.
Good.
Yeah, that's what I said. And I
believe can't stand watching him play, man.
Yeah. A way to not qualify Seth? No, I'm joking. Seth is not. Seth played a lot better this year, I think, under Richardson. I think
man. He gets shit on because
the contract,
obviously because of the contract, but also like the plus minus. The team's a minus. The team as a whole is a minus. He plays so many minutes. It's like it's gonna happen, man. Your team's not scoring that many goals. You're out there forever. It's gonna happen. Like I think he is what he is. He's not worth the contract, but he's a good player, and it's fine. It'll work. It'll work. It'll
be fine. Yeah. I was kind of talking with our friend Rossi, who's a big Panthers guy. And there's talk of OEL going to Florida. And he's like, I don't know about this. I'm like, the guy couldn't hack it in Vancouver. And I'm like, he's a good middle defenseman. He's not like a sexy option. I go, he was the victim of given a contract that he was never going to live up to.
I mean, Vancouver or Arizona, just like, I don't know what they do. They really highlight like one player every year, or like not. And sometimes it happens like for multiple years. And OEL was one like that guy. Yeah. He was just doing everything. And so once he gets moved and he's no longer like the guy that needs to do everything, they're like, oh, he's not as good as we thought he was.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, and that's what you're gonna probably end up seeing with like Jacob Chikrin. Like now that he's in Ottawa, they're like, oh, I thought he was way better. And same with Bobrovsky and same with like Darcy Kemper. It's like you got one guy that's just putting on a show in Arizona. A team trades for him and like, oh, he's not as good as we thought he was. It's like, yeah, because he had to do fucking everything in Arizona. Like, that's why he looks so good. Like he's the only one that could do anything. And it's funny how they just like Clayton Keller had an amazing season, but I think Clayton Keller is actually a good player. So
he's one of those rare moments there.
I think it's because he's a forward. It's mostly defensemen that get highlighted and goalies that get highlighted on their team.
Yeah,
like it's so funny.
Keller needs to get out of Arizona.
Isn't fucking Devin Dubnyk? Did he come out of Arizona that like doing okay? Like went to Minnesota, and then like Brizgalov.
No, Dubnyk got saved by Minnesota. He went to Arizona and was waived.
Well, no, he was Edmonton, and then went to like Arizona, I thought, and then traded to Minnesota. But doesn't matter. Brizgalov was the big one that ended up getting a $10 million deal in Philly. And then Darcy Kemper went from Arizona to Colorado. And it's just like always defensemen and goalies, just because that team doesn't have it on the offensive side. So like if you're doing well enough defensively or goaltending, like you're going to be doing a lot playing there. So it's funny as fuck.
When Kemper put up that 50 save win in the playoffs that 1 year against Colorado, right there, I was like, oh, he's going to get overpaid so much.
He's going to Colorado so easily. Oh, man.
The other player that I believe, I don't know, was it Bjork or
York
is not getting qualified either?
That's what, somebody had mentioned in our friend chat. Yeah, that Bjork wasn't going to get qualified, which, I mean, it's a bummer because I think he played well in his few games that he had on the Hawks. I mean, I fucking went to the game where they were playing Ottawa and he had 3 assists in the second period. And I was like, oh, fantastic. 8 points in 13 games on the Hawks, man. But it's going to be the same as last year, basically, when Davidson was just like, yeah, we're not going to qualify like a lot of these guys. Like, it's okay. Like, they can go and do their thing. Like, Kubalik and Strome and even, I mean, not last, I don't think it was the year before. It wasn't even Davidson, but like Pius Suter, like guys that like did pretty decently, but it's like, we're not here to have those guys. We don't need them right now.
Yeah. So that leaves, so if Bjork isn't getting qualified and Seth Jones isn't getting qualified, the remaining RFAs that have until Friday to be qualified will be Kurashev and Austin Wagner.
And that's it.
That's it.
There's also some minor league guys too.
Oh yeah. Let's see.
Jakob Galvis. Oh, he's going to Europe. That was like the only name that's like big enough.
Drew Hunter, Cameron Hillis, Matson Gold.
So all three of those guys were acquired in trades and minor league deals. I doubt that they're gonna be qualified either.
They'll end up signing contracts with Rockford.
Yeah, which is more. Yeah, I can see that happening more than likely.
And then the other thing the last thing I have about like the main team that we can talk about the draft, unless you got something else. Lazarus is at, oh, there's the light again.
Yep.
Lazarus is at the award show. He was talking to Stalock, and asking him about, who you're gonna be played for next year. And Stalock goes, how many teams are there? He goes 30, and Lazarus 32. And he goes, yeah, well, all 32 have called me. I'm just trying to make my decision now. And I'm like, Stalock is awesome. I'm gonna miss that guy.
Yeah, he played great, and he played himself off the team, man. Yeah. If Mrazek didn't have another year on his deal, I'm sure Stalock would have probably gotten a contract.
I wish we could have kept Stalock and got rid of Mrazek, but
either way, like
Mrazek's probably the greater good.
He's gonna be. He could possibly be trade bait at this deadline, which would be nice. And then he can go in next year with like a wide open goaltending spot.
That's a little more clarity than it did like 2 years ago. And
yeah,
was it Soderblom, Lincoln, and
nope, it was Delia, Malcolm Subban, and Kevin Lincoln.
Yeah,
that was
woof.
What the Hawks were like. This is what we're going with.
God damn.
It's always fun.
You got anything else for that, Connor? You want to switch over to draft talk?
Let's do draft talk. I think, yeah. I don't know who the Hawks are going to go for in free agency, but obviously it's going to be no one big.
I still think I'm holding hope for Kessel.
Yeah, like I said, no one big.
He's pretty big.
I love Phil Kessel, but he's not good. He made like league min this year.
He said they asked him when they after they won the cup, yeah, I want to play next year. Where it's at, I don't know. So he intends on playing.
Yeah,
I think this is our last opportunity to get our Phil Kessel Blackhawk jersey.
I honestly hope it happens. Oh, he played for. Oh yeah, he was only at 1.5. Yeah, the Hawks would get him at $3 million. Give him a little pay bump.
KD,
Stanley Cup pay bump.
Do the right thing, KD.
Yeah, but I think Kessel still has to wear number 8. He can't wear 81.
Give him 26. It's his college number.
He just wore 8 this year.
I know. I'm saying though, who's number 8?
Somebody 26 on Vegas? Is that a thing?
Oh, I
don't know their numbers. Damn, Phil Kessel's made $92 million in his career. Way to go, bud.
A lot of hot dog, bud.
Yeah.
So, all right. So going to the draft preview. First and foremost, Connor Bedard is going to be a Chicago Blackhawk.
Yes.
First overall pick taken care of. Don't even know ifs and or buts about it. There's not going to be any surprise. We're not going to hear Fantilli. We're not going to hear Michkov. We're not going to hear Carlson. Not going to happen. Connor Bedard is a Chicago Blackhawk. Get used to it. Don't like it.
After that, who knows?
After that, it gets really interesting. And I think it's this is one of those drafts that it's so impossible to even pretend to know what you're talking about with who's going to go where.
Yeah. I think this is going to be one of my favorite years for the draft, obviously because of how huge it is for the Hawks. But it seems like every year there's teams that go completely off the board and there's like confusion over like, why the fuck did they do that? And then guys drop. Sometimes guys just continue to drop. And if that happens, man, like we have so many picks to like just scoop these guys up. And I'm just hoping, like, I can't wait to see like if anybody in the top 10 drops to fucking 19. Like, could you imagine? It's the same as last year with Shane Wright just dropping to 4. That was crazy. And then this year, there's so many possibilities of guys just like dropping, teams just doing dumb shit, fucking trades, man. Like there's no consensus on anybody going anywhere after like 2 or 3.
I was about to say,
yeah.
Who do you have at 2 and who do you have at 3?
It's got to be Fantilli and Carlson, right? Like
in that order?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
I think that would make the most sense. I
would argue Mitchkov too, but it's like I don't know if teams want to take that chance.
Yeah, which is dumb. If I was Anaheim, I'd probably go Mitchkov just because like they're probably not looking to fucking be super good right away. Like even if Fantilli does get drafted too, I don't expect him to play next season.
Well, he's already talked about that. Right now the plans go back to Michigan.
Yeah, so if he goes back to Michigan, you might get him at the end of the year. Like that doesn't really matter. Like when Mitchkov's like 3 years out,
he's signed a 3-year deal, but there's a lot of
civil war in Russia, man. That might fucking cancel that.
But there's a lot. I guess these KHL contracts are a lot easier to break than NHL ones are. Yeah. And people are saying that people are putting way too much stock in him having a contract with the KHL in their opinion of drafting him.
Yeah.
Like I think if he somehow gets to 8 or Washington's able to move up, that contract's broken.
Ovechkin's going to be able to break his contract for him.
Oh, 100%. That contract's
broken. They did it before, apparently, with Washington. Like there was a kid that drafted that got out of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, if he's going to be as special as Bedard, possibly, like, I don't see why you don't take him like top 4.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, there are people saying that he potentially could be better than Bedard.
Yeah, which would be crazy. That's why it's always just speculation coming from journalists where like GMs are just gonna be like, yeah, those guys are fucking idiots. Like whatever. Like I'm gonna take him now. Like
there's a reason why. There's a reason why they're doing what they're doing in the NHL, and everybody else is doing what we're doing. Talking and projecting.
Well, that's the shit with like Moritz Seider. Like everybody's like at the draft, Steve Yzerman picks him, and everybody's like, "What is he thinking? Like this is so like I can't believe he would do that. Like the guy's so off the board. He's not even in the first round projected. Fucking comes in and gets a Calder. Like
same thing with New Jersey in 2017 when I was sitting at that draft next to some New Jersey fans, and when they announced that they picked Hersher.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and they were like, "Oh, this is ridiculous! You should have gone Nolan Patrick, and it's like, I wonder how those guys are feeling right now. Like, do you think they're like, "Oh,
yeah,
I don't know. I like this move." Like, nobody knows.
That's like one of the positives. And then even in that same draft, when Hextall takes Nolan Patrick, leaving Cale Makar on the board, when his whole scout team wants Cale Makar.
Yeah.
So you get GMs like that are dumb as fuck. So like you'll end up getting somebody that's gonna draft something like way out and try and do like a Steve Yzerman like genius move, but it ends up being like a Ron Hextall dumb fucking move, and it's gonna be hilarious.
Do you ever want to feel bad about your team and their drafting? If you have a team that did not pick up a premier talent in the first like top 10 picks, go back and see who they drafted after they picked the guy that's not even in your organization anymore. It'll make you upset. And as a Hawk fan, that is a very sad list of players that the Hawks could have had.
I think my favorite is Jack Skelly going before Anze Kopitar.
Oh yeah.
So like, oh god.
The whole Cam Barker draft too.
The whole Cam Barker draft, yeah. Oh Jesus. Oh man.
So
yeah, I'm just excited because Davidson has drafted, like he's already drafted well. He's got a good pedigree on it right now. So easy number 1, right? And then 19.
Do they stay 19?
So fucking exciting.
Do they stay 19?
I honestly think I hope they stay 19, but also acquire another. But if they move 19 to move up, like whatever, who cares? Let's talk Andrew Crystal.
I was gonna say, so who there's two names for me that stick out for available at 19.
Yes.
And one, Andrew Crystal, is a very interesting one for many reasons. One, he is quote unquote best friends with Connor Bedard. I gotta pull up the actual scout on him because there was one that
has mentioned that he is one of the smartest players he's ever played with. The kid's a good playmaker, but there's questionable on his like skating ability. And then I'm assuming that the other guy you're talking about is gonna be Gabe Perreault.
Yes.
Who is Yannick Perreault's son. Fucking NHL faceoff wizard.
Both Perreault and Crystal have been called power play cheat codes.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Oh, feed me. Perreault has been compared to from what I've been talking about with his passing ability and his creativity. He sounds like he could essentially take over that Keener role on that sideboard on the power play.
That'd be sick.
The thing with Perreault that they were saying his weakness is his two-way game. He's not as strong defensively.
Yeah.
Not a big hard back checker. And his skating speed and skating ability is not up to the same level of other players that is projected in his range. But they were also, the scouts that I was reading are also saying that all that is going to be fixable when he's committed to Boston College next year.
Yeah. That's the good thing is like those guys that have shown that they have the talent, like they're not done. Like they're so, that's why this draft class is so highly touted. There's so many guys that are just going to be so fucking good, and even their faults can be fixed. It's just sometimes it might just come down to size, you know, like you got two guys that have comparable games, but you take the bigger guy possibly just because he's not going to get bullied as much.
So Andrew Crystal's 5'10", 165 pounds.
Yes.
Left-handed, left wing. Let me just read a quick little bit of his scouting report. Crystal's one of the top playmakers in this class. He's very creative, possessing high-end offensive IQ, very deceptive and shifty with his movement as he maintains great control of the puck, handling it confidently in high traffic areas and beating defenders one-on-one. Very smart at identifying and spotting the cross seams and passing lanes as he's able to confidently execute a passing play to his teammates. He does a great job leading the rush as he's great drawing opponents to open spaces and connecting with crisp passes and making a give and go. He's always finding the open ice, and when he does, that's when he goes into attack mode, letting his skill and creativity do the rest of the work. Oh, yeah. Oh, baby.
Yeah. Yes, it's going to be such a good problem for the Hawks to have, like, sometimes, you know, though, like the previous picks will make it much easier for him. But that's not the cool thing. The fucking crazy thing to me is that because nobody has any clue on where anybody's going after fucking 2 or 3, Crystal's also been possibly talked about dropping to the second round.
I've seen him ranked between 6th and 35th.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. And there's another kid I was looking at too, Quentin Musty.
Yeah.
Who's got better size and more of a power forward, I would say. Same thing. He on Elite Prospects, you know how they have like their consolidated rankings, but then they just show like what their rankings are for every other like whoever fucking submits them.
Yeah.
And he's anywhere from 11 to 42. And it's just like you might be able to get some of these guys like that you were thinking about possibly getting at 19. They might still be there at 35.
And that's what's so scary about this. It's like, do you take the chance that they're still going to be there later on? Like for me personally, I think if it was up to me and I had my way, if Crystal is still there at 19, I think you take the chance and you grab him at 19.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to wait until he's possibly there at 35.
I think you take a chance on Perot or Musty being there maybe later.
Yeah. Or try and package a couple seconds and move up again in the first.
Is there another Mrazek situation?
Get 18 and 19. That way you don't have to
and get all three. Well,
yeah,
18, what was it?
do
18 is
Boston.
Winnipeg and 19 is
St. Louis or something.
I think so. No. I don't know.
Man, we had talked about this before.
We talked about this last week.
18 is Winnipeg, 19 is us, obviously, duh, stupid. 20 is Seattle. Yeah. And then 17 is Detroit.
Who I think are trying to get Ottawa to be cool with taking 17 for DeBrincat. And although it sounds like Ottawa wants 9.
Yeah, no fucking way.
Well, what was DeBrincat? DeBrincat was 7 for us, right? We got the 7th overall.
Yeah. But this now is just signing rights to DeBrincat. This isn't even, he doesn't even have a contract.
Yeah.
That's why
I just want this, just make this trade happen so I can finally say, I told you all, DeBrincat was going to Detroit. I knew the whole entire time. Give me this one for one time. One of my stupid predictions pay out.
Yeah, I saw like somewhere that like Yzerman's not too keen on the term, but he like definitely wants DeBrincat there.
I just think it would be cool to have DeBrincat and Larkin, 2 Detroit kids, bringing that team back to like
and Patrick Kane. I just think that it would be insane if wherever DeBrincat goes, Kaner just ends up signing there.
DeBrincat, yeah.
DeBrincat NHL awards are on right now. Veneers Calder.
Did he?
Yeah, obviously.
I hope we go 5 for 5 for our predictions.
It's I mean, I think it's without a doubt. Oh man, let's get this fucking draft like going. Like, please. Oh, I just want to see what happens.
Chris Letang won the Masterton. Bergeron won the Selke.
Did he really?
Yep.
Oh wow, that's quick.
Stamkos won the Messier Award.
Mm-hmm.
Kopitar won the Lady Byng.
McDavid won the Ted Lindsay.
Yep. So that pretty much means McDavid won the Hart.
Yeah. It's like,
has there ever been a guy that won the one and not the other? I'm sure there has, but when was the last time?
I don't know.
Was that Kane? Did Kane win the Ted Lindsay the same year he won the Hart?
Yeah. The Art Ross, the Hart, and the Ted Lindsay. All right. Yeah. That's about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's so hard to talk about. Like, I know you guys are probably like, oh, well, where's more draft talk? It's like after 19, after like the Hawks first round pick, it's so fucking open. Like, literally, you can make a case pretty much for any single person in this draft.
Yeah.
You can make a case for every single pick the Hawks have.
I honestly, like, after 19, I hope the Hawks just really, I'm sure obviously they have a fucking plan. Duh. I just hope that they consider, like, if there's guys dropping, like, best player available.
I think that's the mindset. Best available.
Dude, fucking Detroit has picks 41, 42, and 43. It's a wild time to draft.
All 3 of those plus 17 for DeBrincat.
That's a lot. That's signing rights. That's all I'm saying. Like,
I know. No, I know. But hey, weirder things have happened.
It's true.
So
I'm sure. I can't wait. Draft day, trades, drafts, drafting, going hard. Fucking 2023 draft, just the 20th anniversary of the 2003 draft. It's going to be one of the best ones, probably. Let's go.
All right, and next week we'll prepare for the 2024 draft, and we'll talk about.
Yeah, right.
I've already seen people starting to do mock drafts for that one. I'm like, all right, come on, pump the brakes a little bit. Pump the brakes.
Like, no one doesn't even know, like, who's gonna fucking end up where in the standings.
Yeah, I still think Hawks finished bottom 5.
Get Macklin, Celebrini, or Cole Yzerman.
Bottom 5, move up 2 picks. Go top 3. back to back. Give us our Kane and our Taves, just reverse order.
Absolutely fucking let everybody blow their fucking minds off.
God. That would be amazing. Oh my God. I'm so goddamn excited. Blackhawks are going to be relevant again sooner than later.
That's right.
So yeah, do you got anything else?
No.
Well, free agency starts Saturday. It's also Canada Day, so happy Canada Day to our Canadians, friends out there, listeners, followers. I don't know when we'll record next, so just in case, happy 4th of July to all the Americans.
Hey, Canadians, you have a happy 4th of July as well.
Yeah.
Or anybody in general.
Happy 4th of July if you celebrate. All right, episode 229. What do you want to call it?
You know, I've been thinking, and I was either thinking like the next chapter begins, the start of a new era. Like, it's funny because I couldn't think of how to really say it, because it's not really a next chapter, but it's much of a completely new book, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, we could just call it The Book of Bedard Begins. It's like a fucking book from the Bible or something. I don't know. Chapter 1.
I literally was writing this down. I was the Book of Bedard, Chapter 1. That's literally what I was writing down.
That's gonna be good.
All right, so episode 229, Book of Bedard, Chapter 1. Make sure to follow us on all social media at WCB Podcast on all podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Music, whatever the hell it's called now. I don't know what they do anymore. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We will have a new episode of WCB Tic Tac Toe up today, tomorrow, or however, whenever this goes up, when you're listening. Make sure you check that out on YouTube. DraftKings promo code THPN at HockeyPodNet. I will be on the HockeyPod Network YouTube channel for the first pick on Wednesday. Nolly's gonna be in Nashville. Hopefully he figures out how to do all the cool shit on social media. So follow there to see if he figures that out.
I'm celebrating my son's first birthday.
Happy birthday! It's so cool that your son was born on the day Connor Bedard gets drafted.
Yeah.
Well, the anniversary of your son's birth was on the day
his birthday. Yes.
The anniversary. Nolly said that once, and I'm just running with it now. I fucking love
the
that.
Anniversary of his birth. Yeah. Ridiculous.
All right, boys. We will see you on the next one.
All right. Connor Bedard's back, Hart. Love you, boys. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the WCB Podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast. To connect with Jarom and Tanner, check out the boys at WCB Podcast on all social media. We'll see you next time.